Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 6 of Chucky. So, last time, we had quite a bit of new stuff kind of introduced as we were getting ready to finish off the first half of the season and go into the second half and everything. We got some backstory on how Chucky and Tiffany originally met. And we even got to see Nika, who was from Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky. And see that she is still possessed by Chucky. And that Tiffany is as unhinged as ever. And speaking of possessed by Chucky and Nika and Cult of Chucky and all that, I have not watched the movie, but I have looked through a synopsis and looked through a recap information and everything. Basically, in Cult of Chucky, it's following Curse of Chucky. Nika is imprisoned at a mental hospital, and her inmates begin dying through multiple Chucky dolls because Charles Lee Ray has discovered how to use a voodoo spell to split his soul into multiple bodies. So he can possess multiple Chucky dolls at once, and it raises a lot of questions, I feel, still. Like, maybe they're answered if you actually watch the movie, but it's like, okay, so there's a main one, and that's the one in Nika. If you kill the main Chucky, are all the Chuckies die? Or do all the Chuckies die? Is that how it works, or do you actually have to kill all of them separately? Like, how does the splitting the soul thing work? Cult of Chucky also had Andy in it, who has been, the recurring character since the first movie, pretty much. I don't think he's in all of them, but he is a recurring hero, protagonist against Chucky, whatever you want to word it as. And in that movie, he was torturing the head of the original Chucky or something like that. Something along those lines. And yeah, it seems to be definitely carrying over into this film, which is, again, I kind of already knew that. I already knew that this was a follow-up to the movies and everything, so not a surprise there. But we saw last episode how that's starting to definitely carry over with Nika being there and everything. And like I stated last time, like, Fiona Dourif, like, she very much nails her father's personality and even the way he speaks. Like, just his inflections and whatnot, she nails it. And yeah, she's his daughter, she's Brad Dourif's daughter, but still, it's like she does just a great job at that when she's possessed and all. Excuse me. So, last time we did get all of the backstory, getting to see how Chucky and Tiffany met, but we also got some other stuff too. We got the supposed death of Chucky, just based around, like, one of the dolls being killed, but we find out later that he's transferred that piece of his soul, at least, to this other good guy doll, the Tommy doll. Jake and Devin and Lexi basically continue to celebrate, but Junior's not really enjoying the fact that Lexi is now hanging out with them. Jake and Devin, they have their first kiss, and it's super cute. And it's like, it's very clear they're a thing. Like, I think that was pretty much the confirmation that they're a couple. And I think it's cute. I think it's awesome. I'm glad that we're actually getting that great representation in there. And we find out that the big secret the aunt was hiding was cancer. Because it's like, if you're going to go with a big secret, just make it cancer. Because I guess why not? And during a town meeting, the principal of the school is murdered by Chucky. You have the entire heads will roll scene. It's pretty great. It's pretty wonderful. I really enjoy that. Just, I love the song, as I stated last time and all. And I was actually told something in the comments of a previous reaction that I wanted to comment on here, that I wanted to bring up. I don't remember who told it to me, but I was told that it was subtle, so it's okay that I kind of missed it. It was very subtly handled. But in the hospital, a couple episodes ago, there was the what appeared to be a Chucky doll running around, and I was like questioning, like, wait, how could Chucky be there if Chucky was in the house and everything? Is it another Chucky? Or one of my first thoughts was it Tiffany? But then it's like, oh no, it can't be Tiffany. Apparently it was revealed that it was that little boy. There was the mother and her son. It was apparently the son, who was apparently wearing similar clothes to Chucky. Yeah, I guess it was just really that subtle, because I did not realize that at all. It's just, it didn't click for me, like, to any degree. So that's a thing. I just wanted to correct myself, because I was questioning that. I was wondering about that. I was trying to figure that out, and it didn't click with me. So yeah, that's the deal with that. But that being said, with only 8 episodes in, that means there's only 8 episodes in the season, not 8 episodes in. That means that after today's episode, there's only 2 more. We're not only in the second half of the season and all, starting with last episode and all, but we're really closing this out, because short season. And it's like, we're introducing in new elements with Tiffany and Nika and everything. How is this going to end? How is this going to wrap up? I think a season 2 has been greenlit. I think I mentioned that last time. But I still feel like there has to be some kind of notable ending to the season. Even if they don't wrap up every little plot point, every little thing, there's got to be something, you know? There's got to be some conclusiveness to this. Just to, make it feel like a season closer. Even if we know it's going to come back. So, I'm just curious how they're going to make that happen and what it's going to be. Are we going to end up saving Nika? Are Nika and Tiffany even going to get involved in the current stuff going on, or is that going to be saved for like next season? And where are we going with just kind of everything else that they're starting to dive into with this second half? And all the connections to previous season or previous movies. Just, I feel like last episode was showing us that it's about to really start getting real Like, this is like they're gonna ramp it up in this second half, and I just don't know where exactly that's going to take this series, because the first half was a little slower, but it was intentionally so. It was ramping things up and building things up, and now that we've got our group, our trio, possibly a quad if we can get Junior to believe. Now that we've got all this other shit going down, it's like, yeah, where is this going to go? And I want to touch on one more topic before we get this going. If you've been watching this, you know, I've been very critical and even aggressive towards Devin's mom, the cop. And as I've stated in other things that I've done on the channel, I think I made an entire deal about it during the Arcane reactions and all. There is a reason for me to just go aggressive like that towards cops in media. It's because of real life shit with how cops treat people of color, people in the LGBTQ plus community, and pretty much anyone who's not white and male. Let's be honest. And I'm not going to get into an entire spat about that here. And, like, I understand she's of color, she's a woman, but still, it's unfortunately still applied, even with cops of color and female cops. Like, we still see this kind of same stuff happening in the world. And unfortunately, Devin's mom has not been an outlier in that regard. There are, like, media like the video game Detroit Become Human, where you see Detective Hank Anderson, who is very actively, like, jaded and disgusted by how the police force is, and eventually actively turns against them and decides to side with the androids. That's the kind of cop character I like, someone who actively turns against the cops because he sees the corruption and the just terrible bullshit. That's a good way to handle cop in media, but Devin's mom is just kind of perpetuating everything like you kind of hate about them, or at least I do. And it's like just the constant need to blame Jake, even though, as I've stated in previous episode reactions, she has nothing. It's just, it irritates me. She's so insistent on him being at fault here, just because of the loosest of threads, that she's trying to force the idea that it's him. She's trying to basically lure him into admitting something just so she can accuse him. And even when things can't possibly be him, she still suspects him. The entire situation with the house party, for example, and the house burning down, Lexi's family's house, it's like there is absolutely nothing there for her to blame on him. And yet she still does. Just because she can. Just because she wants to find someone guilty and she's just going to pin it on him. That's why I don't like her. That's why I'm so aggressive towards her. And she'll probably pin the principal being decapitated and had the head rolled out onto the stage. She'll probably pin that on him too. Even though he was clearly in the audience, there's probably security cameras that show him sitting there with Lexi and Devin. Junior is even a witness to that. And even though he's not on the best terms with Jake, it's like, I think he'll understand that it couldn't have been him, and that I don't even think he would try to blame him for that. It's just, everything about her character has made me dislike her. Even outside of the cop stuff, like even the way she's talked down to her son pisses me off because I hate it when parents do that. So it's like, I've had no reason to like her. I've had no reason to not go aggressively against her. And I wish there was something that would make me like her a little more. And maybe that will happen. But I'm not going to deny my feelings on this. In this situation. And do I have biases there? Yes, I do. But again, they're valid biases. So I apologize if I might seem to be like going really hard on that, but it's like it's not just an out of nowhere thing. It's there's plenty to it. And I wish there wasn't, but there is. So I just wanted to bring that up as the kind of last thing, just to mention exactly why. I feel like those of you who've been watching for a good time already kind of knew that and already probably just expected, like, me to not like her or something going into this. But yeah, it's just, I'm not one of those reactors who's gonna hide what I think about characters and social situations and whatnot. I'm going to be very honest about how things affect me, even when it comes to a series or a movie or anything else I do on this channel. That kind of stuff does still affect me going into partaking of this media. So, that all being said, though, we are going to get on with this because I still enjoy the series. It's not like that kind of thing like ruins the series for me, because it's not trying to paint her as being in the right. That's, I think, the big thing about it. She's clearly in the wrong, and it's painting her as being wrong, so that helps. Either way, let's get this going and hope for the best with this episode, see what goes on, and see how it continues to get more and more insane as we go into the second half of the season. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I'm going on these pre-thoughts. Like, I go on this little spiel about how I don't like Devin's mom and the entire cop thing, but also just because she's an asshole and everything. And then, like, at the end of this reaction, it's like, no, I hope she doesn't die. I want her to realize what's going on and start siding with them. And it's like, a lot of you are probably watching that thinking like, wait, what? But I assure you, both of those things can coexist. Because as I said in the pre-thoughts as well, a good way to handle a cop in media is to have them not only understand that they've been perpetuating this negative, toxic culture, but to have them turn against it. And to have Devin's mom, if she had survived, to have her turn against this and side with them and work with them after this point would have felt good. It would have worked really well. It would have made her a lot more likable. But they decided to kill her off. And I'm upset by this because I saw the potential that they could have taken her character and to make her, again, a lot more likable and have her turn against that kind of idea that they were going around with her for the first, now basically 6 episodes of the series. So I am kind of upset that they went that route and just killed her off without like truly having that redemption. Like, yeah, she admitted that she was wrong about Jake and reconciled with her son. And to be fair, there was a big death flag there with the entire like, oh, well, let's plan for movie night, and you can even invite Jake. And this is all after Devin finally came out to her and everything, and she was supportive and everything. And it's like, okay, I should have seen the death flags there because they used the exact same death flags with Junior's mom. The same death flags were used with her, where it's like she finally tells them about the diagnosis, and she's like planning this stuff with them and planning to just live out her life. She's talking to her psychiatrist. She's like, I'm going to refuse the treatment. I want to just live the rest of my life with my family and just not have to worry about, like, you know, basically chemo and whatnot and all of how that would affect things. Because as I said in the reaction, that shit affects people, and it makes things miserable. It does. And sometimes it helps in the long run, and things go in, and the cancer goes into remission and whatnot. And it's great when that happens. But that doesn't always happen. And when someone goes through that chemo and eventually ends up dying, it's like the last months of their life and everything are terrible because the chemo wreaks havoc on the body. And in some cases, a lot of people just figure it's not worth it. And I fully understand that. I do. It's a really hard subject to think about, to talk about, to even imagine. So it's like there was the death flag with her, with all of that, like all of the plans and everything she was going to have, and then they did the same thing with Devin's mother, and it's like I should have seen that because I saw the death flags with Junior's mom, but somehow I just completely phased over my mind with Devin's. It did. But also, I have to look up something here. I have the Wikipedia up for Chucky, and let me see what the name of this episode is. Da, 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 da. Okay, this episode was called Cape Queer. I guess like a play on Cape Fear, and you know, just having Devin's coming out and Tiffany showing some kind of romantic, possibly sexual interest. Well, not even possibly. She basically admits it. Sexual interest in Nika, more so than Chucky as well. So yeah, there's a lot of queer stuff in this episode, which is great and everything. And you get to see both the wholesome good side to it and the crazy bad side. So I appreciate the realism that it shows both, that queer people can be bad too. I'll get to that in a bit though. But I was wondering if like this episode might have mentioned or like hinted at what was to come, because it's like this episode also had a big theme of matricide. I think that's what it's called. Now I'm questioning that. But the idea of like the death of mother figures. I think that's what it's called. Because we have both, let's see, matricide, the killing of one's mother. A person who, so, okay, matricide would be someone killing their mother. So it's not quite that, but yeah, we have two mothers who die in this, both of which obviously would affect their kids, and both of which happen because of Chucky. So it's a really interesting connection there to connect Devin and Junior in that regard. It's a really interesting like theme to this episode. For two characters I really did not completely expect to die like this. Like, I didn't necessarily expect that everyone would get out of this or anything. Hell, I expected some of these parental figures to die in this series. I just didn't like expect necessarily this to be how it happens and to happen so suddenly, I guess. Um, and I still question how Junior's mom died because I swear that glass would be much better reinforced to where that kind of thing couldn't happen. Because let's be honest, Chucky is he's put into the body he with all the voodoo magic and all, but he's not that strong. All he did was push a cart towards the mother. Even if it knocked into her and knocked her against the glass, I don't think that would break that. Again, the glass would be reinforced. It would be very sturdy to purposefully avoid people being able to break through and fall out like that. That just I don't think that could happen. At least not that easily. Like what happened with Devin's mom, it's like, yeah, that one makes sense. She fell down the stairs really badly and her neck snapped at the end of it. It's like, yeah, that one makes sense. That one works. It's horrible, but it works from a logic standpoint. It's just, I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe that glass wouldn't be that reinforced, but I would think it would be, especially at a psychiatrist's place or psychologist or what. I'm admittedly not great with the distinction between those two. I know there is one, I just am not great at defining what it is. But you would think like that's a place where there's going to be people who are depressed, who are even suicidal. There's going to be people who are thinking about shit like that. So I would feel like they would reinforce the glass. And just in general, I would think that would be standard practice. Like, if you're at the end of a hallway and there's literally just this big glass window right there that's obviously a fatal drop, it's like, come on. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, like, overthinking it or overanalyzing it. I understand it's a horror series. It's especially with a character who's literally split his soul into multiple bodies of dolls, and also another human being with voodoo magic. So I understand it's like there's not 100% like a realistic, grounded sense to this world. But still. So this episode mainly focused on the continued fight against Chucky. It was very much like, oh, our main group finds out Chucky's still around, and they're trying to continue to stop him, working to figure out whatever they can. And in the meantime, kind of stumbling over some personal relationships and shit as well. Junior breaks up with Lexi. Jake overhears what's happening with his aunt and everything. Devin like mends his relationship with his mother. All kinds of stuff going on. And interspersed in this, we also have Tiffany and Chucky. Although after Tiffany is trying to get this suitcase closed with the body of that guy we saw last time in it, she chops off part of the hand that's sticking out, causing blood to splurt on Chucky Nika's face, and Nika's soul takes back control and keeps it for the foreseeable future that we see, which is really interesting. Tiffany does end up noticing this based on little hints here and there that she realizes, oh, Chucky doesn't normally do that. So she decides to test it out by stabbing Nika in the thigh, which it's like Nika doesn't respond or react at all because she doesn't notice because she's paralyzed. And for some reason still, when Chucky takes control of the body, the paralysis somehow goes away. I don't know how that works. But again, voodoo magic, I guess. But yeah, this also helps clue her in, and she reveals that she actually has a thing for Nika and kidnaps her, taking her to a new house she bought under her guise of, you know, the actress, Jennifer Tilly, and just kind of leaves her there and heads off. They're in Hackensack, though. We do know that. And Chucky is, his soul is still in Nika's body. Meanwhile, our heroes get in contact with Andy. And we actually get to see a couple little flashback scenes really quickly from the like original movie and all that. Andy is hanging out with I'm not sure. Let me check here. Because that's one thing I didn't grasp who she was. Okay, it's his foster sister, Kyle. Let me see if I can find out who she is. I assume she was in one of the movies. Yeah, because it showed her. It showed her in the flashbacks as well, a younger version of her. She was in Child's Play 2. Okay, yeah. Because after what happened in the first movie with Andy and everything. And then she returned in Cult of Chucky. Okay, that's why I didn't recognize her, because I didn't actually see that. I just looked up synopsis stuff. Okay, so she did survive in Child's Play 2. Again, it's been a long time since I've seen that. And she was in Cult of Chucky, and now has appeared in this. So, yeah. So, yeah, our heroes get in touch with Andy and Kyle, and we see them kind of like doing this almost like supernatural Winchester Bros kind of thing. Like, they come to this house like in disguise. It's like, oh, we're the census takers. It reminds me of Sam and Dean like going on their demon hunting adventures, pretending to be FBI and other things like that. And they're like trying to get all the information. Like, oh, does your daughter have a doll at all? And the questions are like getting progressively more about that. And the parents are like, what are you talking about? But eventually the girl does bring out all her dolls, and eventually her good guy doll as well. And yeah, Chucky reveals that he's in the doll, and they end up killing that piece of Chucky's soul right in front of the family, who, yeah, as they even noted, are going to be traumatized because of that. But again, would they tell anyone? Like, they saw the blood come out of that doll. I'm sure, like, at least the girl heard Chucky speak, and probably has before that, honestly. Because she didn't seem too fazed by it. But, like, I think even the parents would have had to have heard him, because he wasn't, like, being super quiet, especially when he, like, right before they killed him, he yelled out, like, fuck you, Andy, and it's like, the parents had to have heard that, right? So it's like, yeah, that's interesting that they're just going around and doing that. And apparently that was the last one outside of the one that's in Hackensack already. And, of course, the piece of the soul that's in Nika. So there's 2 pieces left, currently, at least. And to be fair, at least that Andy and Kyle know about. So maybe this season's going to focus on trying to, like, take out those last 2 pieces. As we see, the home that Tiffany, under the guise of Jennifer Tilly, gets is in Hackensack, so they're already there. Andy and Kyle are on their way. Everything's gonna kind of come to head. We have 2 more episodes, so they're definitely like building up to how this is going to close out with this finale. And now, with only 2 episodes left, we also have 2 major deaths, again, with the mothers. So it's like, I did say that they were really going to go hard in this second half, and they definitely have been. Just last the last episode and now this one both have gone a lot harder, things have definitely escalated in a very big way. And I like that. That's what I wanted to see with this. So I'm very much on board. Now I'm curious about if we're going to see any of the other parents die, because we still have Junior's father, we still have Lexi's parents. And it's ironic because Lexi's parents are the ones I wouldn't mind dying the most. But no, in all honesty, I do hate them, but mostly the mom. But still, it's like, I don't necessarily want them to be killed, but I do hate the mom. And it's just like, where else is this going to go at this point? I have a lot of questions, and it's like, this is clearly building up to a big finale, and I'm genuinely kind of excited about that. I'm really interested to see how this does close out. This has been a really good series so far. I enjoyed this episode. I enjoy Jennifer Tilly just slaying, like that outfit when she was like getting the keys to the house and everything. It's like, my God, she's pretty. Like, she just really is. I don't care what anyone said. I don't even know what people think of her. I don't know, like, if people think she's really attractive or not, but I really do. And it definitely showed there. Like, you'll have seen it already, but I'm sure that's what my thumbnail's gonna be. I haven't actually made it yet, but yeah. I am just really interested to see how many more, if many more deaths we're going to get in these final 2 episodes, and how it's going to go, and how it's going to end in a way to where, yeah, things will obviously continue with another season. So, one question I'm sure some of you may have, possibly at least, is will I be doing the final 2 episodes together? Because with a lot of shows on this channel, I do tend to do that. I did it with Amphibia recently, as an example. I'll tend to do like the last couple episodes together, because usually they kind of like, in a lot of cases, will form a story, like an ongoing story in a way. Especially with shows like this, where it's like, oh, there's only like 6 to 10 episodes or something, and it's like, they're trying to like tell this continuous story throughout the entire thing. So usually the final couple episodes are going to be the complete finale in a way. You know what I mean? But the answer with this is no. I'm not going to do the final 2 episodes together just because of how long these are. They're basically an hour each, and it's like, I could do it, but I don't want to, if I'm being honest. With movie reactions, as we already got, the ones we already are doing and whatnot, I just don't want to add in another 2-hour reaction, even if it's just 1 week here. I just don't, just personally. And I don't want to like stop a possible movie reaction from happening just to do that instead either. So yeah, we're just not going to do that for the time being. I think I'd rather do it 1 episode at a time anyways, just because with a series like this, the tension and the build-up and the wait between episodes very much helps. You want to kind of build that up in between episodes. This is a series I could not see myself, or anyone honestly, binging. I don't see how anyone could binge a series like this, because it's like you need to have that break in between episodes to just think about everything that happened and where this could go. I feel like that's just kind of necessary for a series like this. Maybe that's just me, though. In the meantime, tell me in the comments below what you thought of episode 6 of Chucky, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.